What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Sporgo, and today we're going to talk about everything involved with Tsukuyomi, the recommended builds, and how to play this character to get the most damage out of her. And currently right now in Aether Gazer, she is the most powerful character in the game. This is a thunder-based character or lightning-based character, and I gotta say, guys, I'm loving her. I got very, very lucky in my pulls with her. I actually got a double S, but that doesn't really matter. In all honesty, every character in Aether Gazer, if you get them at S rank, that is really more than good enough in the game, because anything beyond S rank, unless you're getting them to Omega tier, really is going to make that big of a difference. It's really the build that you're putting on the character, and even if you're adding in an XS key, is really what's going to make the difference for them in all reality. Unless you're going to go to mega tier, then that can make a much bigger difference, because then you can actually have 3 sets of sigils on the character to really bump up their damage. So when it comes to Tsukuyomi, guys, she is a Shino character, and you can team her up with Buzimbo. This is the only team up currently she has in the game right now. And if you are going to be using Tsukuyomi, especially if you're going to be maining with her, then I would highly recommend that you build Buzimbo, because they got this nice little team bonus where they can really increase Tsukuyomi's attack. And that is insane, guys. Adding this increase to thunder damage, which is really going to help out. And the all members of team are granted a 7.5% ultimate skill charge for every additional enemy she lands a hit on. So the more enemies on the screen that we land hits on, the more skill charge that we're actually going to achieve, which is amazing, guys, for these characters. That's really, really good. Now, when it comes to her normal attacks, guys, she's just going to do a whole bunch of slashes. And this is really, really important because she is a rage character. And, you know, for this rage character, you want to build up your rage by doing your normal attacks, more your basic attacks. It's definitely something you're going to be doing whenever you're doing all your combos with this character. So her first skill, Ardent Light, what it does, guys, is it actually does a forward slash. She slashes through the enemy, and it's going to apply what's called Seal of Thunder. And Seal of Thunder is this little lightning rod that's going to show up above the enemy that you actually hit. It either shows up there, or there's going to be a little lightning marker that's going to show up but below the life bar of the enemy that you hit. And this is really, really important for her rotation, because you actually want to apply Seal of Thunder twice. So you can apply it with the first skill. And something always to keep in mind, guys, is that you always want to have your rage meter built up at the bottom, because this costs 20 rage to do this. Now, the second skill, Dual Flow, is the same thing, except it does a bunch of slashes. It's going to do 2 slashes with a slashing spin, and this skill here is also going to apply Seal of Thunder. Now, something to keep in mind, guys, with the first and second skill is that if you're facing against an enemy, they can move and they can get away from you, and sometimes you won't apply that Seal of Thunder, and that's really, really important. Also, keep note that this costs 30 rage, right? So if you don't have a lot of rage on Tsukuyomi, you could actually maybe try to use the first skill twice, and there's actually another way that you can apply Seal of Thunder, as we'll talk about here in a little bit in the rotation. Now, her third skill, Out of the Blue, is very, very important. So this thing costs 10 rage. The way this thing works, guys, is whenever you use your first or second skill, it's going to apply that Seal of Thunder. And what this thing does is whenever you hit the third skill, it removes the Seal of Thunder. And this thing has 3 different evolutions to it. So when you remove it the first time, you want to apply Seal of Thunder again. You're going to hit the third skill, and then you're going to remove it again, and then you're going to see a marker at the bottom of the screen, a little blue icon. And when that thing shows up, you can hit your third skill again, and then 2 markers are going to show up, and she's going to do the Out of the Blue move, which brings down a ton of lightning. So your rotation is literally like either doing 1 to apply the Seal of Thunder, 1, 3, remove the Seal of Thunder, and then 2, and then 3, 3. Or you can do 2, 3, 1, 3, 3. Either way, it's going to work. You just need to apply the Seal of Thunder with your first or second skill first, and then use your third skill to remove it. That's going to set up the first stage of the Out of the Blue. And then you need to apply Seal of Thunder after you remove it, and then hit the third skill again to remove it again. You'll see the blue little marker that's going to show up on the bottom of the screen, and then hit the third skill twice. So it's always going to be apply the Seal of Thunder from the first and second skill once, hit the third skill, then apply the Seal of Thunder from the first to second skill afterwards, and then hit the third skill twice. So again, it's literally 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, or 2, 3, 1, 3, 3. Either way, it's going to work. But there is another way that you can apply Seal of Thunder and throw it in your rotation. And then you have the ultimate skill, which is really, really awesome that she does. And this is where you can actually apply the Seal of Thunder again. So whenever you do a perfect dodge, guys, and you enter the 0 time, what happens is your skill attack launch by tapping on a normal attack button inflicts the Seal of Thunder on an enemy hit. So if you do a perfect dodge and you do your basic attacks afterwards. This is another way that you can apply Seal of Thunder. And something else to note about the third skill is if the Seal of Thunder is not applied to the boss, if that little lightning marker is not above the boss's head and you hit the third skill, it's going to go on a cooldown, which really sucks. It's going to cause you to lose a lot of damage because you always want to have that third skill ready so that way you can go into a main move to go into the out of the blue so that way you can do the most damage possible. Which leads me into the next thing, which is her access key. When it comes to Tsukuyomi's access key, it's actually very OP for this character because each time the Seal of Thunder is cleared, which you're going to be doing with your third skill after applying it from your first, second, or from your basic attacks, after a perfect dodge, or an enemy with the Seal of Thunder is defeated, your attack is increased by 9% for 9 seconds, effect stacks up 3 times, which means you can gain up to 27% attack. That is a lot. And then the third move of the Thunder out of the blue now expends all the existing rage. And for every 1% rage expended, the third move of Thunder out of the blue deals 1.5% more non-dot damage. So your rage meter is that meter at the bottom of the screen. You're going to build it up by doing your normal attack. So if you have that rage meter completely build up, and you're getting ready to do the third move of the third skill, you're going to apply the out of blue for the third time, you're going to absorb all of that rage meter and you're just going to do a ridiculous amount of damage. So the more rage meter you have, the more damage you're actually going to do. And this is a weapon that I would highly recommend for you to get for Tsukuyomi. You don't need it. It's not an absolute, but it really will make a big difference for her, especially if you plan on using her as a main damage dealer on your team. And remember, the weapon banners are never going to go away. You're always going to be able to pull for this weapon in the future when you have enough shifting stars available for you to do that. So when it comes to your sigils, this is the recommended build that the game actually gives you. And this is the build that I would actually go for when it comes to this character. And also, guys, when it comes to your skill effects, you really want to try to get as much attack as possible. You want to try to get as much critical rate as possible, much critical damage as possible, and as much thunder damage as possible to increase her damage, especially if you're using her as a main damage dealer. And the reason you want to use these sigils is because, one, the lightning cutter here increases thunder damage, which is very important for a character like Tsukuyomi. And the Caledonian Rage increases Rage's mod skill damage by 10%. So you're getting an increase to your damage by 10% because she does use Rage, but this is really important for her. Increases Rage charge speed by 7% for each modifying level attained up to a maximum of 35%. So this is really going to help you build up your Rage a whole lot faster whenever the level of your character is much higher. That is going to make a big difference because the faster you can build up that rage meter and the more of the rage they have available, especially if you have her access key, is going to allow you to do a whole lot more damage at a much faster rate, which is really OP for this character. Now, when it comes to her codes, I would recommend going with the red codes. These red codes are pretty freaking insane, guys, because every time the Seal of Thunder is cleared from the enemy, which means you apply the Seal of Thunder from the first, second skill, or from doing a perfect dodge and then doing your base attacks afterwards, and then hitting your third skill to remove the Seal of Thunder, you're going to get 15 rage is granted, right? And remember, guys, the faster you can build with the rage, the more damage you can do, especially if you have that access key. And you need rage so that way you can do the first and the second skill. Also, each time the Seal of Thunder is cleared, or when an enemy with Seal of Thunder is defeated, the remaining cooldown time of the skills, including ultimate skill, is shortened by 1.5 seconds. So you're going to be able to do your ultimate more often throughout a fight, which is going to help you because that thing is an iframe and it does a ridiculous amount of damage. So this is really OP for survivability and for damage. And then the use of the third move of Thunder out of the blue also clears the Seal of Thunder. And when the Seal of Thunder is cleared, thunder damage dealt is increased by 35% for 12 seconds. So this is really bumping up your damage whenever you hit the out of the blue skill, which is your third skill. And this is the build that I would recommend for you if you're going to be using this character as a main damage dealer. There are other routes you can go if you're going to be using her as a sub DPS, but she is the strongest character in the game. So a lot of players, especially at this point in the game, are probably going to use her as a main damage dealer. But this is the build I'd recommend for you guys if you are going to build her for damage. Now, eventually, I mean, if you do go the distance and get this character to Omega tier, then you're going to end up replacing a couple of these for other sigils, but we'll talk about it later down the road because really at this point in the game, unless you're an Omega whale, you're just not going to have her at Omega tier. That's extremely expensive because you need a ridiculous amount of copies to take her to Omega. So we're just going to keep it simple and just stick with the 2 3-piece sets that we do have equipped on her. And a couple of tips whenever you're playing with this character, guys, is whenever you're using her, especially as a main damage dealer, it's a good idea to have another character that has some kind of CC, like Poseidon or like, let me see here, or Leviathan. Like you're going to see me using Leviathan in the run that I'm going to show you. She actually has a freeze actually on her 3rd skill, which is pretty OP for 4.5 seconds. And she has a freeze on her ultimate, which is also pretty damn OP for 4.5 seconds. So a lot of times what I try to do is I save my ultimate from my CC character. And then whenever that her ultimate is ready and I can go into my out of the blue skill for my Tsukuyomi, I'll use this CC. That way the characters are not moving out of the way because you can easily miss that skill. That's something to be very, very wary of, man, is opponents that move around. So having some CC always helps, whether it's freeze or stun or whatever the case may be for you. And you can see, guys, she's just level 30. I mean, I'm just really using her for her freeze. Tsukuyomi is really going to be doing all the damage. And I actually wasn't using this strong a build. And the run that you guys are going to watch, we're actually going to take on a boss against reoccurring dreams here, or challenges here. We're going to take on a boss against reoccurring dreams, the Metabane and Warbane on Fantastic Fright. You guys can see that I use Leviathan and Tsukuyomi here. And when I first started playing with Tsukuyomi in this, it would take me almost a full 3 minutes to do this fight. And you guys are going to see a massive increase in my time because I was playing her more properly. It's not perfect. I definitely made some mistakes, but huge difference between 2 minutes and 55 seconds compared to what you guys are actually going to see. It makes all the difference to make sure your opponents are locked down so you can apply that damage, apply the Seal of Thunder at all times. Because again, if you miss applying your 1st or 2nd skill, if they move out of the way whenever you do those skills and you don't apply a Seal of Thunder and then you hit your 3rd skill, then that 3rd skill is going to be on cooldown and it's really going to cause you to have a lot of downtime and you're just going to lose a bunch of damage. So always be really wary of your bosses moving around all over the place. Make sure that you can connect your 1st and 2nd skill so that way your 3rd skill doesn't go on cooldown. So let me know if this helps any of you out there as far as playing Tsukuyomi. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GT+7 time. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See you, everybody. Take care.
Shinryu, unsheathing. Useless. Thank you. I won't make the same mistake twice. Time to finish this. Come, thunder! Here's my answer. You're not gonna hit Leviathan! My blades decide on. Leviathan! Attune with your sword in your heart. Useless. Come, thunder! Stay very still. Sword is my mind. I still have confusion in my mind, but victory shall be my guide.